For more on this, let's bring in Jake Blumencranz, New York State Assemblyman, and Deroy Murdock, Fox News contributor. Gentlemen, great to see you. Deroy, this ex-post from the Minnesota Department of Human Service Employees is it's an extraordinary document.
Yep.
It doesn't detail everything, but it says Tim Walz is 100% responsible for massive fraud in Minnesota. We let Tim Walz know of fraud early on. He systematically retaliated against whistleblowers and did his best to discredit fraud reports. I mean, he was trying to discredit reports of fraud because he had a constituency of Somalis there that he was trying to please by keeping these reports quiet. Doesn't that make him complicit in the fraud?
Oh, completely. And what's fascinating about the comment you read, this post is not from the Minnesota Taxpayers Alliance or from the Republican caucus. This is the Minnesota Department of Human Service Employees. Imagine if you're working for a human service or welfare type bureaucracy in Minnesota, you're probably not a MAGA type of person. These are probably liberal Democrats. And even these liberal Democrats, I assume is what they are, in Minnesota, are coming out publicly and attacking their boss, essentially, and saying this guy's a fraudster. They say at the end of this comment, it's scary, isolating, and left us wondering where we can turn to. Amazing to have these people who you'd think would be on board with Tim Walz and, hey, let's spend more money, let's keep the benefits going, and they're attacking him for this. And
now,
he's
Jake,
the one to blame.
You were telling Deroy and I that as bad as it is in Minnesota, there are similar cases to it here in New York.
Absolutely, there's similar cases here in New York. There is a systemic amount of fraud. I myself have introduced a legislation called Stamp Out Fraud here in New York, and Democrats flatly rejected it when it entered committee this year. They have no interest in prosecuting and rooting out fraud, waste, and abuse in our government. Every blue state is not immune to what happened in Minnesota. Minnesota, they just had some very kind people in the administration who spoke out and said enough is enough to crazy leadership who puts these individuals before real Americans and those who are paying the taxes.
Now, is there any way that you can find evidence, the kind of evidence that clearly became available in Minnesota?
Absolutely. What I'll say is that it is a completely opaque system of how we fund these programs through NGOs, through these non-governmental organizations who distribute and provide these services. We need our AG, we need our president to come in and stop the waste, fraud, and abuse, not just at the top, but at every level of government in the state of New York as well.
What I don't understand, I mean, the administration, the Trump administration is trying to make a case that Obamacare was a terrible failure, that instead of prices going down, they've gone way up for most Americans. And with examples of fraud like this, why aren't they working better with local state bodies in order to expose? I mean, here in New York, they could work with Jake and expose some of this Medicaid fraud.
Well, they should. I mean, they ought to work with, with Republicans who are sympathetic, with sympathetic groups like here in New York. The Manhattan Institute would be good partners to work with.
Yes, it would be.
What I find amazing, though, and kind of sad, really, is that Democrats should be the ones who are leading the charge, saying, look, we want benefits that go to people who are poor, disadvantaged, injured, whatever it may be, sick people, and let's reduce the fraud, get rid of this nonsense, and actually take the money that's left over and concentrate on people who actually need to be helped. What happens is the people who need to get help don't get the help they need, and all this money just vanishes. We spoke earlier in the break about a program here under Mayor de Blasio, and his wife got $850 million for mental health.
Right.
Disappeared. Nobody knows.
New York was
Thrive
the
New
name
York.
of that.
The facilities.
$850 million, and nobody knows where that money went.
The facilities still sitting empty today that they tried to provide funding for.
It's extraordinary. And if the local prosecutors aren't willing to prosecute because they're the same party, can't you get the feds to come in? Can't you get the New York attorney to come in, the U.S. attorney to come in?
You saw Tish James sitting on a stage with Mandami. These people are political operatives.
But again, wouldn't it help to work with Washington in order to get the feds to come in and do some prosecution?
Absolutely, and I implore the federal government to come to New York. Minnesota will look like a drop in the bucket compared to the fraud we see here in New York.
All right, I want to go to something else that happened here in New York over the weekend. There was another anti-ICE operation that they were going to begin. Somehow one of these websites got wind of it. They sent protesters is the wrong word. It was a mini riot that happened. An agitator, they were throwing things in front of the ICE. They prevented the ICE agents from even getting out of the parking lot they were in. Dan Goldman, Democrat congressman, put out an ex-post saying, today's confrontation didn't protect a single person, but instead unnecessarily put New Yorkers, federal agents, and NYPD officers in harm's way. Make no mistake, any chaos and violence in NYC involving ICE is instigated by ICE. Well, we had Trish McLaughlin on Fox a little earlier. She's the spokesperson for HHS. Here's how she responded to Dan Goldman. Roll it.
Today, in New York City's jails are 7,169 criminal illegal aliens. We're talking about hundreds of murderers, hundreds of sexual predators, drug traffickers, the worst of the worst. Dan Goldman and these other sanctuary city politicians, they should agree to hand over those individuals, honor those detainers, and then we won't have to flood the zone with our ICE law enforcement.
Jake, I wonder how many New Yorkers realize there's 7,300 violent criminals in jails that are going to be walking if in fact, these people like Dan Goldman get their way.
It's truly amazing that these quote-unquote moderate Democrats, Dan Goldman, my Congressman Tom Suozzi, they sit there and they say that they're moderate, and yet they have become absent from law enforcement. Now it's ideological enforcement. If the law does not suit their political needs, they do not wish to abide by them, and they applaud those who are trying to break the law.
Yeah.
These are law enforcement officers who are trying to do their jobs and get crime off the streets. 80% of New Yorkers agree that this is a massive problem that needs to be tackled, and you have these moderate Democrats they're completely against the law.
20 seconds, Deroy. What's going to happen when Mamdani is mayor about this situation?
I don't think it's going to get any better, unfortunately. You've got him who's opposed to the idea of ICE. He hates ICE. He thinks these are quote-unquote fascists. My guess he's going to make it even more difficult to have the NYPD cooperate with them. And these people will run loose, and they're going to be robbing, raping, and killing people.
My question is, what are these NYPD officers going to do? They're going to have a review board that doesn't even involve them when they do get in trouble, and when they're not in trouble and they're on the force, they won't be able to have weapons in some of his proposals. So what are they going to do at one of these riots when people are throwing things at them?
I don't know. Jake Blumencranz, good to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deroy Murdock, always a pleasure to see you. Coming up.